Hi everyone, Jolyn Hall here with Schmidt Realty Group. And today I want to share with you, if you're thinking about getting on the market or on the market, 10 ways that you can stand out in a slower market. So I'm just going to get started here by sharing my screen. So give me 2 seconds to get this all set up and we will take a look through this. So this is just some great ideas just for you to know what to focus on and what to pay attention to as you plan. So for those of you that haven't had a chance to meet me before, I am a licensed real estate agent with Schmidt Realty Group. I do work with buyers and with sellers. And I'm also a seniors real estate specialist because I've worked as a registered nurse and home care case manager, specializing in older adults. And I've worked in seniors housing in non-for-profits and for-profits before I made the transition to real estate, because I really found older adults struggling with transitions and finding the right housing for them that would allow them to age in place and meet their accessibility needs. And real estate seemed like the great place where I could help my clients figure all of that out. So I also own a company, Edmonton55.com, that helps families and older adults navigate housing choices. So that gives you a little bit of background on me. Today, we're going to talk about what a buyer's market is, what makes a market slow, and 10 ways to have your home stand out. So we're currently what's called a buyer's market. There is a higher inventory than number of buyers. So for every house that comes on the market, there might be a buyer that has access to 3 or 4 houses. They don't have to buy everything that comes up. They have choice, they have selection, and essentially you're in competition when you list your house with other ones in your condo complex or in your neighborhood. And so there's ways that you can kind of work things so that you are standing out more so to hopefully be in that top percentage that does get sold. So just for interest's sake, a seller's market, generally there's low inventory and there might be 3 buyers for every home. So there's a lot more competition within buyers. Right now, we're in that high inventory stage where there's more homes for each buyer and the homes are competing for buyers' attention. So things that can make a market slow, obviously the inventory we've talked about can make a neighborhood longer to sell, especially if you're not in the top 3 picks in that neighborhood. A lack of buyer confidence, and that can be when there's scary things going in the world, like a pandemic, when there is, bizarre financial things going on, bizarre employment things going on, things that just make people go, should I really be investing in real estate? And the other piece that can make a market slow is things like financing. So right now we have great interest rates, which generally spurs the market. But with some of the stress tests and some of the financial hoops for people to jump through, it does make it harder to get financing. And we're seeing financing fail on more deals. So all of those things combined tend to make a market a little bit more on a slow side. I love talking with my sellers about absorption rate. It's a formula we use to look at what's active in the market and what the history of the market has been to decide how many months of inventory there is if no other listings come on the market. I've worked with a condo where recently I had to break the bad news. There's 1.5 years of inventory. Only 4 condos sell in a year, and there's currently 6 listed, and I've heard there's soon to be 7. And that makes it tough for owners to know that it could take that long before they get sold, and that's if nothing else comes on the market. So that absorption rate is important to us because it helps us understand how we need to position that residence as a seller to get it sold. So let's talk about those 10 ways that you can help your home stand out in a slow market. These first three are elements you can easily control, possibly before you even get listed. So, cleanliness. I know this sounds so basic. I love the expression I recently heard that it needs to be Q-tip clean in every corner. And I know that's tedious, and I know no one wants to do that much work, but when buyers have a lot of options, we're seeing them make very hasty decisions on the first 3 seconds in a home. If the floor is gritty, if there's fingerprints all over the wall, if things aren't shiny and beautiful, they're going, you know what, this home's just gross. It hasn't been well taken care of. On to the next house. They're making decisions that quick. So things like the light switches, the baseboards, the blinds, the windows, all of that and everything else needs to be as immaculate as we can possibly get it, not only for the photos, but for those showings, and clean thoroughly again before each showing. Because at the flip side of that, buyers walk into very cleaned homes going, oh my gosh, this place is so well taken care of. It'll be so perfect. And they gush over a home. That's what you want to happen in yours. So cleanliness matters big time right now. Do the minor fixes. So I'm not talking about renovating. I can sell a home whether your kitchen's updated or not. That is not a problem. But it's the little nitpicky things that people are going to pick up on. Fix the leaky faucets, tighten the cupboard handles, replace all the light bulbs to the same color in a room. Those little things that they're gonna, go to open a door and the doorknob's loose, just makes them hesitant about, again, that condition and care of the home. We want to eliminate that. So if there's minor fixes, little annoyances, doors that have always stuck, closets that, don't follow the track easily, do those fixes now, because if they're annoying to you in the home, they're going to be something a buyer picks up on when they come through a home. Check your curb appeal. This is your front drive up first impression. Add a flower pot to the front step, keep your lawn trimmed, weed your flower beds before every showing, make sure your fencing's in good condition. I recently took buyers out on the weekend. They were looking at a number of different homes, a number of different communities. And as we got to the first home, I was a bit early, and I always take a little drive around the neighborhood to just scope things out. And as we got up to the step, I was kind of saying to my couple, this yard's the worst kept yard in the neighborhood. Like, the rest of the neighborhood is great. This one could use some work. So, if you're willing to put it in, the rest of the neighborhood looks fantastic. But they were instantly turned off by that backyard or that front yard before I even said a thing. There was paint chipping off the garage door. There was overgrown flower beds from last year that hadn't been cleaned up at all. The lawn had been trimmed, which was great, but it just wasn't appealing. And then we went to another home in the day, and as we walked up the driveway to sort of check out the backyard, a significant portion of the back fence was down on the ground, looked like it had been there for a long time. And really, my couple just turned to me going, we're not dealing with a fence. We'll walk into the house out of curiosity, but this house is off the list. They make decisions that quickly that you really need to do everything you can to keep your home in immaculate shape and have that great first impression outside and inside. So the next three options really rely on your choice of representation, because you can sell a home on your own, you can use a discount brokerage, you can use a real estate agent. But these things are going to be dependent on the person or the representation you choose. So professional photos are a must. Must, must, must. I know iPhones and cell phones can take great pictures. It does not compare. You want professional photos because the first showing happens online these days. People will look at realtor.ca or Kijiji or Facebook or whatever other social media it's being marketed on, and they're going to make a judgment based on those images, whether they look further or not, whether they ask or book a showing. And so professional photos that are not distorted, that don't make a room look too big, that don't make a room look too small, that are very realistic, are going to give you the best chance at getting good showings. The other big difference between cell phone cameras, regular cameras, and professional done is the lighting. I can tell instantly as I go through listings what had professional photos, what didn't. And when there isn't professional photos, it kind of gives the impression I don't really care. And so, you know, if you want your home to stand out in those top three, definitely take a look through your neighborhood, but you want to make sure your professional photos are making you stand out. The other piece that's becoming more and more relevant is a virtual walkthrough. So this is a video that actually guides somebody through the home as if they're walking through the home. And why that's so important is from photos alone, you don't know if the den is near the front entrance or closer to the back of the house, and which rooms are beside each other. And for some buyers, those things are important. They need to understand the layout and how the home fits together. And you can't figure that out always from photos alone. So with that virtual video walkthrough is going to give them the experience of walking through the house and seeing the layout and seeing how it's all connected and how furniture fits there now and what it looks like. It gives them a different perspective. Again, the whole point of professional photos and this virtual walkthrough is that we want them to fall in love with that so that they book a showing, because nobody can fall in love with something until they are physically in it. It's really hard and very seldom happens that somebody loves. Usually it's the opposite, that somebody loves something in photos, books a showing and goes, this doesn't look like the photos at all. So that's where having good quality, realistic representation is so important. And the other element that your representation can control and manage is the marketing. So listing on MLS, which is the real estate system that gets you on realtor.ca, is great. You need to be there. But what else are they doing for social media marketing? What other unique ways do they find buyers that are not lucky? So my specialty is finding buyers elsewhere that didn't know they needed to buy. So it might be through my mailers, it might be through flyers, it might be, you know, drop-offs in the community, but getting people who aren't on the market to know this property is on the market because it might tweak something in them, or a conversation with a friend or family member who could benefit from that property. So MLS is great, but a lot of what I do is how do we get exposure beyond MLS to bring the buyers to you? And so what is your representative doing that's innovative marketing, that gets it on social media, that gets it in front of other people? As we work through our way, we've done 6 of the 10. And so these last 4 items are things you need to keep on top of while you are listed, because these are the elements that stops your listing from just dwindling away. So ease of showings. I get that it can be really inconvenient to have back-to-back showings and lots of activity and just want to sit in your home and just want to relax and not have to deal with any of it. I get it. But in a buyer's market, turning down a showing can mean you are losing the one buyer who might have made an offer on your home. And that's because many buyers are only doing 1 or 2 quick outings to home because they're making a lot of decisions off of the photos. And so not only do you need to be ready to accept showings, but you want to know how your representative is going to book and manage those showings for you. There's an electronic system we have access to called Showing Time. I love it because when I'm working with buyers, I can book 8 different showings within about 3 minutes and have answers back in about 10. So it's a great system for me to use, but some representation only uses cell phones or texting or phone calls or things of that nature, which may slow down And if my buyers are looking at 8 properties, but we only have time for 6, we're going to the first 6 that get back to us, is really what it looks at. So you need the right timing and quick response time to showing requests. It needs to be priced right with realistic pricing right from the get-go, or you're going to be ignored right from the get-go. And this needs to always be evaluated. Every week, I evaluate pricing with my clients and what's going on in the neighborhood and what they need to do and where they need to keep at. Because if you're not realistically priced, the buyers aren't going to bother because they're going to focus on the 3 other listings that are really well priced. And then you must always look at being in the top 3 for the market that's of interest to you. So if your home is really well laid out for first-time buyers, if your home is really well laid out for a single individual, if your home is really well laid out for a large family, whatever that market is, making sure that you're always sitting in the top 3 in your neighborhood if there's more than 3 listings. If there's less than 3, you need to be the top one, because you need to stand out and know what it is you need to do to compete and stand out. Because if only a couple of listings are going to sell in that neighborhood, you want to be one of the ones that sells. So you need to improve your odds of selling by keeping competitive to that top 3 in looks of property, condition, price, showing availability, everything. And lastly, this is a tough one to talk about online because it's generally a fun little graph I draw with my clients, but you need to keep ahead of the market. And this is keeping a really close idea and knowing exactly what's happening for sales and actives in your neighborhood. If you need to reduce the price, you need to price it ahead of where the market is declining. So if the market values are going down, and we reduce our price today, that's great. So we're going to have our price here because that's where the market's telling us it's at. But it keeps going. And a week later, our price is still back here and the market's already moved. So what was a $10,000 price decrease, now it's a $12,000 and we're still behind. And we're always playing catch up. Whereas if the market's going down and we know we need to do a price adjustment, I suggest we price adjust for here, so that we've now got a couple of weeks before that price catches up, and then we do another price adjustment so that it can catch up when we're seeing declining markets, because we want to stay competitive. And we know that by the time we work through an offer, that's probably where the price we'd be at anyhow, so we might as well just get there now and get people showing. So finding a way and working through strategy to stay ahead of the market is so very key. If your home is not selling, you have control of 3 areas you can change at any time. You can change the price, you can control the marketing that's being done, and you can control your negotiation readiness. And that means that often our first offer is our best offer. And so you need to do what you can to massage the offers you get, because you're not going to have tons of offers usually beating down your door. You want to make sure that what offers you get, you do negotiate, even if it hurts, that you sort of see how far you can get it and you've got somebody on your side to help you with that negotiation to get the most out of it you can. So this is just a sample of things I do for my clients each week. We review a number of stats on their listing to see if we hold steady on their price, if we make adjustments, what we tend to do. And so it just gives you an idea of some of the different materials that I can use for sharing statistics and numbers. You know, the one with the green graph, over 2 months, they've gotten over 4,600 views on their condo in a market that's really slow. They're still getting a lot of attention and notice, and that's great. So it's just little things like that. This is just a typical sales process and what the timelines can look like. And so if you're just not familiar with what a sales process can look like, this gives you an idea. With a sample for somebody that wanted to move by September, if homes are selling in a 65 to 75 days on market, then generally to move by September, you're having your house listed by March. So that just gives you a typical scenario because we always look at days on market as what's average or expected for your neighborhood. I love this quote by Franklin D. Roosevelt. Real estate cannot be lost or stolen, nor can it be carried away. Purchased with common sense, paid for in full, and managed with reasonable care is about the safest investment in the world. And that stands to be truthful even in times of economic unrest. Whatever you are losing in a sale, if you are making another purchase, you're going to gain it on that end because those prices will also be low and generally are lower yet than what you may have lost on your sale. So there's a lot of ways that we can work with a slow market. It's never anything to be negative about. We just shift strategy and how we deal with things. So for those of you that are interested in either getting started on planning to list your home, whether it's in the next little bit, next 6 months, 2 or 5 years from now, doesn't really matter, but engage with me as early as you can in the process. I'm happy to do a free comparative analysis of your home and tell you what your home's value is today if we were to list it on the market. And then we keep close eye on that. Together, we work to figure out your timeline. We work together to figure out your marketing plan, and we find the right price to get you listed at, to get you selling with confidence. So there's a whole host of other services I can provide to my sellers that I'm happy to review with you at any time. There's no cost for these consultations or comparative market analysis of your home. I do have 2 documents that you can request from my website, a right sizing guide as well as a condo buying guide, if those are of any help to you. And you've got my contact information here, JoLynn Hall with Schmidt Realty. You can call or text me 780-909-5377, or you can visit my website, jolynnselledmonton.com. I hope this has been helpful insights into things that you can do to help your home stand out in a slower market, and at least give you a little bit of information as to how to remain competitive. And I look forward to helping you with the sale of your home, condo, or acreage. Take care and have a great day.